have an unidentified flying object.
Researcher on a mission with Dr. J. Andy Elias.
We have an unidentified flying object.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Dr. J, and welcome to Researcher on a Mission Radio, ROAM, researching on a mission for the truth. That's what we're doing for. And today we have a very, very special show for you today because we're featuring one of my true heroes, a real journalist, a real researcher, someone who actually goes out to the field when there's a mystery and looks for the answer, someone who looks at both sides, every piece of evidence, and has been a true and huge inspiration for me. And may I add, is also one of the biggest well-known anchors, researchers, television personalities across the world. Let me introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Senor Jaime Maussan. Senor Maussan, welcome to the show.
You're very kind, John. Thank you very much for your words. Kind words.
It's all the truth, Senor. Honestly, you've done so much more for this field as far as a journalist than anybody. I don't think UFOs would be as open to the world if it wasn't for the work you've done. You've put a name and a face, and you brought it to real journalism rather than just what people can do. You actually assign teams, so everything about what you do is real and loved by many. Good.
You're very kind again, John. Thank you.
Of course. Anyhow, let me just tell everyone, he's also a host of Tercera Milenio, which airs all over Mexico and other places in South America, and you can watch it globally on terceramilenio.tv. Now, we only have an hour. We are going to take a few calls about halfway through the show. If you want to take the call-in number now, it's 818-923-1713. If you do call, please keep your radio down as you ask your question. Wait for the area code to be called. Ask your question, and then please hang up and listen for your answer back on air. Now, Senor, we have so much to talk about, but one thing I want to go to that you actually made me aware of about 2 years ago at the Conscious Life Expo, and I've been paying attention to the developments ever since. It was the sounds like trumpets or other noises that started appearing around the world. I remember seeing one in Russia, one here in Los Angeles, all over the world. When did they first come, and what indication to you was it that they were?
Well, the first sounds came out of different cities, especially in the U.S., at the beginning of 2012. However, the first very well-known sound that was recorded, something like 11 or 12 minutes, it was in Kiev on the 11th of August, 2011. On that day, some people who were in an apartment, in a condominium, were able to record a long time this sound, and this was published by many different sites in the internet, and especially got very popular, I would say even viral, in YouTube. Very soon after that, we heard so many different sounds, not all the time the same, but in many occasions very similar, that were being recorded around the world. And that's why some people call these the apocalypse flutes. And since then, we have continued recording or receiving recordings in many places around the world, many cities, and even in places as far as the mountains, in the top of the mountains, in islands, in the beach, in places where it wouldn't be possible to have any kind of explanation to these sounds.
And
we have analyzed these sounds, and they are artificially created. They are not natural, because some scientists around the world said and claim that these sounds were related to solar eruptions or solar explosions. And even though in some days that we don't have them, we have the sounds. And in places where there is nothing else, we have the sounds. Then I really think it's some kind of a message. It's something similar, John, to what the crop circles are. I believe they are signs. I know many people think that the crop circles are not real, but after being in England for the last 12 years in a row, I can tell you that is a real phenomenon. Probably not every circle, not every formation, but I say most of them are real. Even though Colin Andrews, my incredible friend Colin Andrews, says that he thinks that 80% are hoaxes, I think the opposite. I think 80% of them are real, and just about 20-30% at the most are hoaxes, John.
I
can say the same thing with the sounds.
Yes.
I think most of them, probably there are some that can be created, but because it's even easier to create a sound to be presented in YouTube or the internet than a crop formation. But I think many sounds, especially where we have witnesses and people who also we have even interviewed, we have investigated, and people who said that they heard these sounds with their own ears, then I can tell you that's also a real phenomenon.
I have 2 points to what you have to say. I definitely, what you said with the sounds, the apocalypse, a lot of people relate them to what was written in the Revelations, because they said when the second coming of Christ is going to happen, there's going to be trumpets blowing. And that's what some of the people labeled these, and therefore they think that these are the sounds that are coming to the apocalypse. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's a big thing. I'm also glad you mentioned the remoteness of some of these locations. For instance, at the top of the mountain, I mean, you don't have any sophisticated sound equipment that would be able to make such a loud sound, and so many other different places, like you mentioned, in islands. I remember seeing one in Oregon. When was the most recent? And then I'm going to go back to Colin Andrews and the crop circles real quick.
Yes, we have in the last few months we've been listening these sounds in Mexico City. As a matter of fact, this coming Sunday, in my television show that, as I told you, it's presented every Sunday night, 6 to 8 p.m. in national television in Mexico, we are going to present the sounds that have been recorded just in Mexico City. And there are some very recent ones. I am very sure that all around the world, probably there are not as many as we had in 2011, 12, and even 13. They are a little bit less. At least the number of sounds that are uploaded to YouTube, we don't have the same number, the same continuity, but they haven't stopped, however. And one of them that I'm going to present was recorded here in Mexico in June, Mexico City, not very far from my home, and it's a very, very impressive, because you can clearly hear the sounds of the street, and especially the sounds of some dogs that are barking, and when the sound is being produced. And we have analyzed the mix of those two sounds, and we didn't find anything suspicious. Then we think that, and many people in Mexico, even people in my office, even my investigators have told me that they had heard these sounds in Mexico, here in Mexico City, in different occasions. I think it goes around the world right now, but in Mexico City is a city where it's happening continuously.
I think the reason why a lot of things happen in Mexico City is because, unlike here in the U.S., Mexico, when people speak about UFOs, they're much more open to believe, and I think that's a big difference. I'm also glad you mentioned that the sounds are signs, just like crop circles. And Colin Andrews, God bless him, he's also a great friend. He's a little under the weather, otherwise he would have joined us recently on air, but as soon as he heals up, he's going to come back. He even stated among the crop circles that are created by humans, aside from the people who literally just want to create hoaxes, in his last book, On the Edge of Reality, he said that some of them were, the crop circle makers are actually told to make them. They don't know where. It's as if their subconscious is telling them and guiding them to make them. to create more. For what reason, I don't know, but he thinks that there's a spiritual link between the people who make them and the crop circles. Now, crop circles, they're a sign. The signs are a sign. The sounds are a sign as well. And the increase in sightings, that's a huge thing. All of these are signs that something is happening, and it seems to me that something's on the increase. We have a lot more videos. Yes, a lot more people have cameras of their own that are able to record the videos. Do you think we're hitting a cataclysm of some sort? What do you think's happening? Why do we have so many more sightings now than 10 years ago or 20 years ago? Bless you.
I never seen so much evil in the world as we have seen in the last few months. It's just amazing what is happening. I don't know if that is a relation with everything that is happening with this presence. I don't know. But what is going on right now, so many wars, so much cruelty, so much insecurity in many places. You have the Ebola, you have the Syrian war, you have a war of gorillas in Africa, which is very cruel. What is happening in Ukraine, what is happening in Mexico, and even in the U.S. in the schools. I mean, if you really take a good look of what is going on in the world right now, you have to agree that we are losing the track. I mean, human beings are now, I don't know why at this moment, but it is like evil is at the increase. And at the same time, we have more presence. I don't know if it's because of curiosity, if they're investigating, or if they are worried, or what is the reason. But many more people. Let me tell you something, John. In 1991, after the total solar eclipse in Mexico City, I realized that the video camera was going to demystify, to make real the UFO phenomenon. I knew it was just a matter of time, and I know now that it's just a matter of time, because with the development of technology, there are so many more people using cameras. You have now good cameras in your cell phone, and so on. And there are so many new technologies that are allowing us to really see things that we couldn't see with our own eyes. That now we have very clearly a very strong presence. Probably it's been here all around, all the time, but all along. But now we have the evidences, and the evidences tell us that they are continuously here, and the sightings, good sightings, are happening in so many places in the world, especially with the investigation that we are doing, and I can tell you, in Russia. It's just amazing what is happening there, and so many incredible sightings, especially motorships in Russia. Then, something is, I believe we are getting closer to something. What? I don't know. If it's good or bad, I don't know. But something is very near and very important, and it's going to happen soon.
You hit on two very important points. One, that the increase of violence and evil across the world is definitely a concern. If we were being observed by some off-world species at this point, and our history has been observed for the last several thousand years, obviously now would be a time to pay attention, because looking from outside, looking to what the Earth is doing, they'd be wondering, these people are killing themselves. They're going to destroy the whole planet. So I think it makes perfect sense that whoever is observing us worried. And even one step further, speaking to abduction specialists such as Yvonne Smith and Barbara Lamb, there's a huge increase in abductions and in hybrids. And I'm wondering if the possibility is because that they're creating hybrids in case we destroy ourselves so they could repopulate the Earth, or maybe they're creating hybrids so they could eliminate that evil gene in us. I don't know. But either way, like you said, there's a huge increase. And the fact that in 1991, so many people after the solar eclipse captured that, and fast forward to now where we have HD cameras on iPhones and other phones that can actually capture decent images. This makes perfect sense why we're getting so many more videos, but obviously there's still a huge increase. And another important point you talked about that I'd love to spend the next few minutes on is the invisible UFOs. With our technology, just like you said, we're capturing more and more of these objects, different shapes, different sizes, that are literally all around us 24 hours of the day, 7 days of the week, in all levels of the atmosphere. And this is because we have the technology to now see what we can't see with our naked eye. What's the best invisible UFO you have seen, or can you shed some light on them?
Well, I think the best is it was recorded on July 24, 2004, by Pedro Avila. Why is the best? Because he took two cameras, and with one of them, you can clearly see an object that is on the sky and close to the clouds. With the other camera that was on the same tripod recording at the same time, you don't see anything. Then it's very clear that this object was invisible to the normal eye, to the normal spectrum. And that's why I really still think that it's the best, because proves, without a doubt, that there are invisible objects that you don't see with your eyes, that you don't see with a normal camera. But with this special infrared, or this special night vision, or Yukon Rangers, or all that technology allows you to see and record things that are in the sky and you don't see with your eyes. And I think the most spectacular videos that we have been seeing with this technology are the squadrons. The squadrons are UFOs information, flying very fast, and we have many different evidences of that kind that I can tell you that it's just incredible. On April this year, Daniel Hernandez here in Mexico City recorded a squadron of 7-8 UFOs information, flying very fast and moving between them. You know, it's just an amazing thing. And this was recorded above the airport in Mexico. I presented this video to the controllers in the airport, and they were really scared about this. They were frightened by this view when they learned that this squadron or this formation was flying above the airport with all these airplanes coming in and coming out. I mean, you have to see it to believe it. And what is amazing is nobody does. We presented this in national television, and nothing happens. The authorities don't do anything. Like if they don't believe what they are seeing, but the images are absolutely real, and they were recorded by witnesses who are willing to put their name, their face behind the evidence. And again, you know, it's especially in Mexico, but also in the United States and other places, you can get this kind of evidence that proves that it's so much more than we think it is.
You know, I want to make two good points that you made. First, that gentleman who referred to that filmed, I think you said in July. Let this be a lesson to all you listeners out there who capture an object, especially something that you're using night vision or infrared. Use two cameras, just like that gentleman did. That way you can compare, because that just gives us that much more evidence for researchers such as Senor Jaime Maussan to go out there and send his team to get to the bottom of it. If he didn't record in those two cameras, we wouldn't have something to compare. So that was just an excellent thing he did, and I hope more people follow in that. Now, with regards to the authorities, it's very sad when someone puts their name and their reputation on the line to truly come forward for what they recorded, what they saw, and is willing to talk about it. Then they look up to their government to do something about it.
Especially when the controllers told us in an interview that was presented in the television that this was very dangerous.
Yes. That
this needed an answer. That the authorities need to take a position on this. They said that on the television. And it's like nothing happened, everything fine. And again, now you have Flight 370. Nobody knows what happened to it. Nobody knows where it is. And nobody wants to consider anything that is not, let's say, conventional. And why don't we think something unconventional to explain what happened to that airplane? For example, something like this. Or something else, something that is out of the question at this moment, but probably the real answer. How can a 777 crash anywhere in the ocean? It doesn't matter where. You don't get any remainings, any. I mean, there have to be remainings of that airplane, big parts of that airplane floating in the sea, and you have many belongings from the passengers and many things that can float, go to an island, and you just need one little piece to say, yeah, this airplane crashed.
You're absolutely right.
Even though we don't have a single evidence, nobody consider any other possibility. And I don't want to say anything because I am investigating this phenomenon. But I think they should. For example, in January 1979, in the military base La Perla in Peru, three airplanes with two people each disappeared, and they were not in the sea. They were near some populated areas and the jungle and volcanoes, but they couldn't find them until now. I'm talking about almost 30-some years.
35, yeah.
35 years, and not yet. They considered when they made the official report that probably UFO was the explanation to this. But again, no. When you have a 777 here, which is considered probably one of the safest airplanes in the world.
Yes.
With not a single event before that relating a 777. And you don't have any good explanation to say what happened to it or where it is. Why not consider other possibilities? And I tell this because what I said before, there are so many things we don't see, and they are there, that
yes.
we should start giving some room to this kind of explanation, John.
The MH370, the Boeing 777, it's 199, almost 200 feet wingspan and almost 200 feet long. In the 1980s, the government was bragging that their satellites were so good they could read the time off your wristwatch. Are you telling me that a 200-foot by 200-foot plane can disappear, yet when they could see something the size of count the stripes of bees, it's impossible? I think those satellites absolutely knew where it went, or they caught something of maybe it crashing into some other object, or maybe being taken, or whatever it was. I think whoever was operating the satellites and had the images knows. I just don't think they're being upfront with us. Now, going back to what you were saying, the air traffic controllers, you're absolutely right. That is a huge danger to have things in airspace, especially when you can't see them. And these can lead to a tragedy. And this reminds me of the case in 1978, I believe it was Koyame, where an airplane crashed into a disc. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the disc that landed in the Mexico side of the border, but yet the American military went and retrieved it after they found all the Mexican military soldiers dead? You recall that, senor? Oh, we lost him. Everybody hang tight. Let me grab him back real quick. More with Jaime Maussan, and in a little bit, we're going to start taking some of those phone calls. Here we go. Let's see. Get Jaime back on. Everybody, I hope this is a truly amazing show for you all. And honestly, let's bring him right back here. Let's call back and get Senor Maussan. Jaime Maussan, raised to fame, over 40 years doing journalism, hosting from everything from 60 minutes to 7 minutos to 24 hours. Senor Maussan, are you back with us?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we lost you for a little bit. I was mentioning the danger to the air traffic controllers of these invisible objects that are traveling above the airport that can cause a tragedy, similar to what happened in 1978 when an airplane collided with an unidentified flying object. And I think
75.
yes, it was Koyame, right?
Koyame, yeah.
And at the time, now, based on this video or little documentary on the History Channel, it said that the United States military offered to help, and it was turned down by the Mexican government. But the United States military sent their team anyway. But when they arrived, they said they found the Mexican military soldiers dead, and so they decided to take the object back anyway. And so I wanted to ask you this question: do you think that the Mexican government is kept in the same loop that the United States government with regards to policy on UFOs? Or do you think that the United States government is shutting everybody out?
I think at this moment the Mexican government is ignorant of this phenomenon. I don't think they want to hide it. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to handle this. They don't know if they have to go along with the U.S. or what they have to do. I think they are just seriously and honestly ignorant of what is happening. And there is so much in Mexico that they prefer just to keep quiet and not to say anything. Remember what happened when they gave me the video from the military in 2004. You know that the scientists were very mad why they weren't given the evidence to be analyzed, and we know what would happen to that evidence, to be explained in a very funny way, like they did with the UFO at the volcano here in Mexico, when you have an incredible image of a UFO going inside the volcano, and they say, oh, it's a meteorite, or they said, no, it's a galaxy falling, or it's an astronomical phenomenon. Come on, you know? It was so stupid explanation that nobody remembers what they said. But that's the way the scientists act, and unfortunately, since the government don't have experts in this field, they don't know what to do with it. I don't think they are hiding, or they have craft, or they have aliens, or they have secret meetings with the U.S. military. I don't think that happens here. Probably it happened in the past. I don't know. But right now, I don't think so. No, they haven't stopped me. They have allowed me. Again, no, I have a TV show that is on AAA time in Sunday night in national television in Mexico. You have to believe that if the government had anything to hide, they would pressure the network not to allow me to present all the information that I present. Then I just think they don't know what to do. And as many other people, even in the U.S. government, are ignorant of this phenomenon. They just repeat what everybody says before them.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And you made a very good point. You are a pinnacle. When we lost you for a minute, I was reminding everybody that you were on 60 Minutes, 24 Hours. These are big, major shows that are respected and loved by everybody. And for you to be on primetime television on a major network and presenting the top of the line news, you are always on top of it. You bring the latest sightings, the latest footage, unfettered. Obviously, they're letting you go along with it, which is something I don't think the United States government would allow another journalist to do, although I would hope so. But sadly, it seems that the American journalists, such from CNN and Fox News, don't care. But very sad. But let's go to a news story before we take a few calls for you. This is big to me. Another person made a deathbed confession. This time it was a Lockheed Martin engineer/scientist by the name of Boyd Bushman. And he made this confession before he passed away at the age 78 this summer. And he told that he was well aware of Area 51, well aware of the ETs there, the alien artifacts there. And he presented photos of ETs and craft in his confession or his video. And one of them, I remember the first one that I saw of the extraterrestrial looked to me just like Dr. Jonathan Reed's extraterrestrial. And so it had an inkling of being something truthful. Now, of course, I'm on the fence. I would love to have these pictures verified, but it's a huge story. What do you think of it?
In the first place, I thought this was a hoax because I saw a toy which is very, very similar to the pictures of this man, Boyd Bushman, released. We have to recognize that this man is a scientist, that he has many patents, he's a genius, that he worked with Lockheed Martin. He's not anybody. I mean, he is a big scientist. Why he would make a deathbed testimony or witness or confession when he has this kind of reputation and say a lie? At the beginning I said, well, probably he was senile, probably he didn't realize he is too old to understand. I don't know. Because I was impressed by the image of this toy and the similarity to the pictures that he presented. But then, doing this investigation and considering this case a hoax, I found 3 photographs that were uploaded in YouTube by a man Hutchinson in the 21st of December 2009, which is 5 years ago, and they are the same creature. He said that he had received these photographs from a big man from the aerospace industry.
Yes.
Probably was Boyd Bushman. But in this case, you can see the pictures very, very clear. And in 2 of them, you can see the face of the alien in the same position. Probably they were taken with few seconds of difference. But in the second picture, you can clearly see that the creature closes the eye. And you can, if you take both pictures and do movement, you can clearly see the movement of the eye. Then I say, wow, this is just amazing. This is not a toy. And then I compare the size of the head of the creature in these 3 pictures, because you can look the hand of one man, I don't know why it's there, but you can see it, and you can take a look and compare the size of the head. The head is the size of a little boy, probably 11, 12-year-old, and that's the comparison you can make with the hand. It's so much bigger than the toy. Then, at this moment, I cannot tell you, I haven't made up my mind. I think in one case, I say, it's too similar to the toy. It has to be the toy. But then again, then you watch the 3 pictures, and you see the movement of the eye, and you see the size of the head, and then you think this has to be real. Then I am 50-50 at this moment. I haven't taken a position on this, but I believe right now, I believe it's a very interesting case. But because again, this is a deathbed confession, then it has to be something else. I mean, we have to believe that a man with these credentials wouldn't jeopardize his memory, his legacy, just to be considered a crazy man or somebody who doesn't know what is he talking about. Then I think there is so much more to learn about this case. I wouldn't close it. I wouldn't tell the people believe it or don't believe it until we find so much more. But again, these pictures, you can find them in the internet, in YouTube, by Hutchinson. I think it's Jim Hutchinson from 2009, and compare them and check the details I'm telling you, and probably you'll see what I mean.
This is exactly why you're such a respected researcher and journalist, because you go above and beyond. Rather than just taking something at face value, you go and look to the past, find something comparable. Then you look at the other side. Could this be a toy? And this is why I admire you. You made a very good point. This man is a scientist. He has a family. And to make a deathbed confession that other people would label as loony, why would he do it to deface his legacy, and knowing that his family would suffer unless he truly believed it to be true? And based on from what I saw, again, like you said, without more evidence to point us 100% into that direction, just by the fact that this gentleman, you could clearly tell, was by his body language, the way he just talked and described things during that interview, he seemed very sincere. But why would someone want to leave the last words of their life as a lie? Nobody would. That's the time they use to set things straight. If they had participated in a hoax or a conspiracy, that's when they would come forward and clear their name so they have a clear conscience before they pass away. So that's why I think deathbed confessions are extremely important. Real quick, Senor Maussan, let's take a couple callers that have some questions, and then we'll continue to talk about this real more. Everybody out there, again, 818-923-1713. Please turn down your radio before your call. Wait for your area code to be called. Ask your question, then please hang up and then listen for it on air. Again, 818-923-1713. Now, while we do that, if any call, we're going to continue to keep talking about Boyd Bushman. Now, this reminded me of Bob Lazar, who didn't leave a deathbed confession, obviously, as you know, but to this day, Bob Lazar regrets talking because his reputation has been damaged. And I don't think at all that what he said, that Bob Lazar said, was not accurate. And the reason is, for instance, some people try to poke holes in his story saying, well, how could a C student be an engineer at Los Alamos? Well, here's the real truth. Other people can get C- in high school and then go off to college and do really well. A lot of people, for instance, don't get to that level of education and take it seriously until they get a little older. So those didn't work.
Let me tell you another case. Harold Chacon, this biologist that helped Jonathan Reed to analyze scientifically the creature, and he worked with some of the scientists who were killed. They said, oh, he cannot be a biologist because he was working in a store in a gas station. But then I called Puerto Rico, where he's from, and I found in the Universidad Católica Pontificia de Puerto Rico that he was a brilliant student. He was a tutor for students, and they recommend him very much for any work, because I called to see if this was a trustable man, because I was going to give him a job or something like that. And they say, yeah, well, we are very impressed by him. Because he was working in a gas station then, he couldn't be a biologist. Yeah? And people in the U.S. have to understand, and probably some people know, that when you come from a Latin American country and your profession is not recognized in the U.S., or your university or whatever, your degree is not recognized, anything can happen. And if you are married and you have a family, you have to work wherever you can. And then you cannot say just because he was working in a gas station, he was not a biologist. And we proved that he was. And again, even though there are so many doubts with the Jonathan Reed case, and I have many doubts too, this interview that we made with Harold Chacon proves that the case was absolutely, and I mean absolutely real. A lot of it. I couldn't say if everything, but many things that they said were real. We even went to the place, made some analysis in the field. We brought dirt and plants and things, sealed with security, to Mexico, and we took it to a nuclear laboratory, and they found radioactive elements in the samples we brought. It means that something happened in that place, and it means that what Jonathan Reed said about the place probably was real. But then if somebody finds something funny about the case, then people want to discredit the whole thing. And I really think that we, the investigators, have to take the courage and have the courage to go find the evidence or not and say the truth, my dear friend. And it's exactly what happened with Bob Lazar. Again, another scientist who was discredited. He had to abandon his career and everything because what he said about the Area 51. But he's going to be, and I want to invite people to Laughlin. I'm going to be there. I think you're going to be there.
Yes.
On the 13, 14, 15 of November. And Bob Lazar is going to be in Phoenix. I'm sorry. Bob Lazar is going to be in Phoenix, not in Laughlin. I'm getting confused. But again, if you want to go to Laughlin, we're going to be there too with Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing event put on by Paula Harris, who's going to be one of the speakers. She has this amazing contact event that she had with Ricardo. Forgot the last name real quick. It's not in front of me. Stephen Bassett, like we said, Jaime Maussan is going to be there. So many people. Filmmaker Paul Davids, and everybody can see that at Starworks USA. Again, Starworks USA, and the event is called Back to the Future, UFOs, Nostalgia, and Consciousness. It's going to be an amazing 3 days at the Aquarius
and
Hotel.
Bob Lazar will be in the International UFO Congress in Phoenix.
It's amazing that they got him to finally come out of the woodworks and talks. Senor Maussan, we do have a caller, area code 575. Welcome to the show. What's your name?
Hi, this is Arturo. I'm from El Paso, Texas.
Oh, welcome to the show. You have any questions for Senor Maussan?
Yes. Hi, Dr. J. Hola, Jaime. Just had a quick... ¿Cómo está?
Gracias.
I had a quick question. Dr. Jonathan Reed, anything happened to his bracelet? Does he still have it? Did they confiscate it? And will you be coming to El Paso anytime?
Well, let me tell you, the bracelet, the last time I saw the bracelet was the night that we presented on the Mexican television. Supposedly, he took this bracelet to a different hotel where he was staying. He said, I don't know, that they had come from Germany to get a bracelet because originally he had kept the bracelet in Germany before he brought it to Mexico. And after that, he said that they couldn't allow him to put a hand on the bracelet again, and he lost that chance. That's what he says. There are so many things I don't believe. And I am not sure if the bracelet really worked as he and some others claim. I never saw it working, I cannot tell you, and I know he lied so many times. Jonathan.
Yeah.
What I think is real are the videos. I think are real. I think the obelisk is real. I think it's over. How you say? Sobreactuado, overactuated, or how do you say that?
Sí.
When he recorded the creature in the woods, I think he put so much emotion. That probably, I don't know how real is that. Probably it is, but it is funny to me.
Yeah.
So many other things are real. That I can tell you.
Yeah, I believe it too. Something did happen, but I do believe he faked some of it, because he couldn't capture it on camera, so he had to fake it. And I saw the video of when he put the bracelet on, and I could tell. I worked in TV news for over 12 years, so I know I know editing when I see it. So the part where he puts the bracelet on kind of looks hokey.
Disappear? I don't think so. I didn't convince me.
No, that looked staged. And you're in the TV and newspaper reporting too, so you know exactly what I'm thinking, that it was totally staged. But and
the video with the alien, especially in the house, in both places, but especially in the house, I still think that was a real video. I still think.
Yes, because the eyes were blinking, and it was trying to fake, or it was trying to not make itself known, but he captured it with a camera. So I do believe that was real. And
Me too.
And the other question I had was, will you be attending El Paso anytime soon? I think El Paso had a MUFON, but I'm not really sure anymore.
No, I haven't been invited. When I am invited, I will go, for sure.
Okay.
So far, no.
All right.
I hope to go to Laughlin or to Phoenix. Phoenix is not so far away from you.
Oh, Laughlin. I have family in Laughlin. I could just...
Well, you should come see him 2 weeks from this weekend. Actually, next week.
Laughlin.
Next week, yeah.
Yes,
it's next week.
I'll be there the 13th to the 16th.
13 to 16.
Yeah, strongly
Okay,
suggest, Arturo, if you can make it, it'd be a great thing. Every time Jaime Maussan speaks or has a lecture, it's always one of the best part of any event because he always brings news. No lecture of Jaime's is ever the same, and that's why I love working with him so much and love watching and attending his lectures. So if you go, you'll be blown away.
Oh, exactly. My family watches him when he comes on air and when he be showing and all that. And I'll see if I can attend if I can get out of work.
Yeah. Well, do that, and make sure you check out terceramilenio.tv if you don't have access to the actual Mexican stations that broadcast his show weekly Sunday nights 6 to 8 p.m. It's Central Time. Great show. Anyway, Arturo, thank you for calling. And do you have any other final questions?
Gracias, Arturo.
Muchas gracias, Jaime. Me gustó hablando con usted hoy. Gracias.
Muchas gracias. Nos vemos pronto. Ojalá que vayas.
Igualmente, ahí nos vemos en Laughlin. Okay. Thank you, Dr. J.
No problem. Anytime, Arturo. All right, Senor Maussan, we only have a little under 10 minutes left or so. Go back to reputations. Like we said, Bob Lazar put everything on the line, and to this day, he's still taking heat, and his stories never changed. And when George Knapp uncovered the telephone directory from Los Alamos, and it showed Bob Lazar's extension, which wasn't in the janitor department or anything small like that, and as it showed him as an actual scientist, to me, that was sealing the proof that the government can make your degree disappear, your other things disappear, but little pieces of evidence like that, they can't. And that was, if you can work at Los Alamos, chances are government would hire you to work at a place like Area 51. Then another person, as you know, Colonel Philip Corso. Before he passed away, he wrote that book, and sadly, he didn't get to see it come to fruition. Within 6 months of its publishing, he died. I know he was nearing end of age, but a lot of people try to poke holes in his story. Yet Paul Hellyer, when he was on here last month, said the same thing, that when he read Colonel Corso's book, because he was Defense Minister of Canada, he looked up certain generals and spoke to them and was able to confirm it's true. So despite the small little details that some people found may have been off because maybe his memory was off or whatever, the main gut of the story is true. And we've had several of these coming forward, and I think it's whistleblowers like this that are making a difference. What do you think we can do with Boyd Bushman's information, or the fact that Bob Lazar spoke? Probably Area 51 wouldn't be acknowledged with now. Do you think we're going to get to disclosure anytime soon using pieces of evidence such as deathbed confessions like this? Or what do you think is going to be the catalyst for us to finally get to the truth?
Well, it's very difficult because after an evidence is presented, when the evidence is important, you are going to see the evidence being destroyed, attacked. They are going to try to discredit the witness, the messenger, and that creates doubts in many people all the time. And that is why it's always very, very difficult. I mean, we have to recognize that the debunkers, the disinformators, the people who are creating confusion have been very successful, because so many people don't believe in this phenomenon because of them. And then what we can do is continue presenting this evidence, because you just need one to prove that the whole thing is real. And right now with Bushman, I think we have to investigate these new pictures that I'm telling you, and try to find more about the toy, and try to find the size of the toy and make comparisons, and try to find the truth around this case. I think many people, because this is a deathbed confession, even though there is a toy, and even though there is clear that the case is probably a hoax, many people still believe in it, because they believe more in the reputation of a man who, through his life, demonstrated to be a scientist, a real scientist, an honest man, a man who made his path through this life with doing or contributing by doing things. Then you cannot just destroy it because of whatever reason. Then we, the investigators, have to continue investigating everything he said and finding the evidence and comparing the evidence. And time will tell at the end. If there is another case where we have something similar, especially this kind of creature, then we will be able to prove completely. Sometimes when something comes out, it's very difficult, and you have to wait. You have to keep the evidence for better times. And sometimes that better times come, and then you have a second evidence, and very similar, and you can prove that both were real. It has happened to me sometimes. Then I would continue the investigation with Boyd Bushman, especially with these photographs that I'm telling you. I would go and find the whole story behind the toy, who made it, when, why, etc., and then make enough comparisons and analysis to the photographs, especially the three clear photographs presented outside of Bushman, to determine how real is this case. And then, if you think it's real, when you think it's real, then go along and put your reputation, put your name behind it, and it doesn't matter what anybody says. If you believe it's real, then stand on that.
You made a very good, important point that when people actually put their name on something and they're putting their whole reputation out there, that's obviously something to be taken into consideration. And you said something very important earlier, that the debunkers have done a good job ridiculing people. And recently there have been CIA documents that have been unearthed from the Freedom of Information Act requests dating back to the 50s that actually say when they plausible deniability, deny every UFO case, and when they can't remove the case from the public eye solely by denying it, they stay one step further and ridicule the person, destroy the person's character. And that's something they've been doing for 60, almost 70 years, if not longer. They've destroyed the reputation of people such as Jesse Marcel, and it's really, really sad. But what I would like to happen is, now that other engineers and other scientists from Lockheed Martin see that Boyd Bushman put his entire legacy at stake.
Come forward.
Yes, that is what I hope.
We have to wait.
Yes, you're right. This is something new, and we might get more deathbed confessions from other people that worked with him in the last few years. We only have a few minutes left. I'm going to ask you in a minute anything you want to say to everybody, and of course, we want to talk about your show quick. One thing that I thought was amazing, since that it's been a little old now. I think it might be 2012, December 2012, about disclosure. You remember President Medvedev when he was president and Vladimir Putin was the prime minister, and when he was asked by a Russian national television if he thought, or if the president or the prime minister is briefed daily about UFOs. And he thought the camera was off, and he said along with the nuclear codes, the prime minister is given a detailed briefing on extraterrestrials. And then he went on further to say that I can't go on to tell you how many there are on Earth because it would scare you, but there's an American movie called Men in Black that tells you about the agency that follows them. We only got a couple of minutes left, but what do you think about that statement?
Well, he never said it was a joke.
That's right.
After this was published all around the world, he never come forward and said, that is not a truth. I was just kidding. I was just making fun of the reporter. Anything to say, and he would have to be the president of Russia and saying something so important. Why he didn't discredit that?
You're right, and that's the reason why I think it's true, because when the spin came from other media outlets that were talking about, they said, "Oh, he was just joking." But you watch the video; there's no facial expression that shows he's joking. He's dead serious. That's right. Senor Maussan, we got a little over a minute left. I wanted to give you the chance to give all of the listeners an opportunity to tell them what's next for you and a statement. What do you think they should be doing?
Let me tell you, on the tercermilenio.tv, we are now going to start broadcasting to Panama, 6 hours every day to the open television in Panama, and Colombia is going to follow, and probably Costa Rica. And if we can continue, we will try to give this information available to anyone. But anybody in the U.S. can go to tercermilenio.tv and find the information there. And I think even though it's in Spanish, most of it, there is so many more with subtitles in English, and it's a good chance to have the real information available to you.
It absolutely is, and for even those who can't understand it and that don't have the subtitles, the videos in there are so amazing and so astonishing. I truly recommend to all you listeners out there, do check it out, tercermilenio.tv. I will throw this out my Twitter. Also, by the way, follow me at Twitter at Researcher on a Mission or at Rome Radio, ROAM Radio, and I will put these links there as well. Again, Senor Jaime Maussan, it is always an honor to interview someone such as yourself, a true journalist, someone who's inspired me. I wouldn't be doing this show. I wouldn't be investigating UFOs if it wasn't for you that gave me the guidance in watching you. It has been an honor again. Like I said, thank you so much, Senor. Everybody, be sure you join us next week with Congressman Merrill Cook from the Citizen Hearing. He does love phone calls, so all you do, call in and speak with him. This is Dr. J, Rome Radio, signing out.